So over to the hockey talk here. Andrew Shaw, Chicago Blackhawk, retires at 29, a two-time Stanley Cup champion. He's stepping away from the game due to concussion issues. He's been really one of the enforcers guys. I mean, for people who really don't know Andrew Shaw for who Andrew Shaw is and is new to the game of hockey, if you watch hockey, Tom Wilson for the Washington Capitals, Andrew Shaw is kind of like he was like the pre Tom Wilson. Um, Gritty guy, drop the gloves, stir shit up, love to hit guys. He was a real big piece for that Blackhawks team going as far as they did on those runs that they did to win those cups. So shout out to him stepping away from the game on his own recognizance and not having a concussion be the reason putting him out. You know, him stepping away from the game due to concussions is feels like it's more on his terms than concussions keeping him out because he was playing this year. Um, Over to the East here, my Flyers rallied late in the game with a minute and 30 seconds left, down 3-1 in the third period. They scored. Claude Drew scored 2 goals in a matter of 22 seconds. Take them to overtime, and they ended up winning in a shootout, which is huge for them as the Boston Bruins fell to the Penguins 1-0. Huge 2-point swing right there for the Flyers to get even closer to sniffing a playoff berth. I know the odds look really crazy, and it'd be take a miracle for them to get there, but they did it before, and I got faith that they could do it again. Miko Zibanejad, hat trick for the Rangers, leads them over Buffalo 6-3. Continues to be super impressive since that March 12th, I think it is. He's league leader in points, not even close. Dude's been running away with it. Obviously, that Rangers sit right ahead of my Flyers, pushing for that spot. So it's going to be interesting to see. Shout out to rookie goaltender Spencer Knight. He's on a roll for Florida right now. He that team is on a big push for the playoffs. Just they're currently sitting in second place. Kind of seems like they've solidified themselves. They haven't got the X to guarantee their spot yet, but pretty much after their last couple wins that he stepped in and played really big for them, it's been really, really neat to see a rookie goaltender step in this late in the season in kind of a big spotlight and be able to stand in there and do your job. Keith Yandle, shout out to Keith Yandle. People know him from Spittin' Chicklets, the Sonk guy. He has now moved into second all time for the NHL Ironman streak at 915 games. He just hit that the other day. He's chasing down Doug Jarvis with 964, which is the NHL's all-time leading games played. Do you think Keith Yandle is going to hit that mark, Colin?
Yeah, he can't stop now. I mean, he's already that far. Um, you don't come close to a mark like that just to come up short. Obviously, the Ironman award is a prestigious award, no matter what sport, to be considered an Ironman kind of player. Um, yeah, really was it like 50 some games that he has to play. So obviously he probably won't hit that this season, but yeah, next season, obviously, kind of just the gritty durability that it takes to get through an NHL season. He's going to be kind of in the driver's seat for really next year to have 20-30 games to hit next year to hit that mark. So he kind of set himself up perfectly to where he can rest, stay healthy, that kind of stuff in the off season. So yeah, I can definitely see him hitting that mark.
Yeah, Keith, he's been an absolute warrior. Uh, he was drafted. He was drafted in 2005 for the Phoenix Coyotes. So that just goes to show how long he has been in the league. He's been in the league for a long time. He's always produced very well. He's an offensive defenseman. There was a couple times where his streak was in jeopardy with him having to leave to get stitches, glue some cuts shut, all that type of stuff, throw on a cage. He's battled through. There was one time, I believe, where he was in the hospital and they thought that he wasn't going to make it. And he said, no, I got to make the game. And he ended up coming out there and playing. So, yeah, he wants it. And I could definitely see him getting that, especially with the NHL kind of it's not as rough as it used to be. Like it's faster, which is probably more wear and tear on your body, but it's not as like rough, like where guys are cheap shotting each other all the time and stuff. Don't get me wrong, there still is a handful of that and a lot of that stuff, but it doesn't really get amplified to the playoffs. That's kind of where you see a whole nother level where you're seeing 100 hits a game combined between the two teams, or you look at a normal season game and you're maybe seeing 40. Like it's a huge difference of what you're taking on your body. So he's going to have the playoffs to go through this year. It'll be 20 something more games added on. So yeah, like you said, 20 games into next season or so, he would be sitting that lone leader and could extend that streak. Who knows how long?
Over
I r-
1,000.
Yeah, I don't think that record will ever get touched. Honestly, that just it's pretty crazy. Just due to concussions and all the sort of stuff that not on your own volition you're gonna get taken out
Hmm. Well, plus with
because
how young the league is trending, to where I think rarely you're going to see guys make it into their low 30s, because then there's going to be a guy who's 20 years old who's faster than you that can do the exact same thing for cheaper, and boom, you're out. So I think it's going to be hard to see guys that stick in the league really after this generation of players that come through, that you're going to see guys play for more than 15 years probably.
well yeah, and all these young kids who are coming in, they're gonna get in super early and they're just gonna have to keep up their dominance, or they're gonna get bounced. Like I've talked about a handful of times with buddies off the podcast on how there's a handful of guys who are still playing in the league who are would be considered slower skaters, like the bottom end skaters of the league, like the slower guys. But the only reason they're still in the NHL is because they're still scoring goals and they're still putting points up. You know what I mean? Like if they weren't putting up the points, if they weren't like if their production wasn't as much as their production is, they wouldn't be on the team because there is that younger kid who is just as fast, if not as faster, and could easily do as good of a job as you're doing now and be replaced. So yeah, it's really. And then you were talking about the age of how young kids are. I forgot what they said yesterday when I was watching the Devils. They had 2 or 3 guys that are over the age of 25. They have the youngest roster in the NHL. And it's just like that's insane. Like their whole team is basically 18, 19, 20, 21 year olds, all rookies. Like they have the most rookie points, they have the most rookie skaters. Like it's insane, but it's really cool to see, you know, that them buying in really early with a whole bunch of young guys and saying, okay, now's the time that all you guys are coming in and you guys are the future. Let's see what we can do now.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And then my last thing here, and for the NHL, was a pretty cool moment over the weekend. Artem Anisimov. He's played over 770 NHL games as a forward. He's currently on the Ottawa Senators. Starting goaltender Anton Forsberg was injured during warmups. Matt Murray, their second goaltender, left the game with a lower body injury in the second period. Their taxi squad goaltender, which all teams have, their third goalie, went into the game. And guy who was originally scratched had to hop in the locker room and throw on the goalie pads. Fully dressed, ready to go. He was the emergency goalie in case he had to step in there in the net. He, the coach was asked about it, and he said he was looking all around. They didn't have nobody left. He had no idea what to do, so he kind of asked all the boys, "Anybody want to step in the net?" And he raised his hand, threw on the gear, and how neat would that have been to see a player step in the net and hop in there? But yeah, and then kind of like the same thing happened over the weekend as well in the East Coast League. One of the teams goalies didn't make it to the game, so one of the goalie coach actually threw on the gear and stepped in and played the game.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. NHL is like that. Every arena's got an emergency goalie in case something crazy happens where you're not for the home team or the away team, just whichever team needs attendee, you're stepping in the net. So how unreal would that be? You're at a game, you're like 4 beers deep, you get some guy comes and taps you on the shoulder, hey, you're the emergency attendee tonight. Because I honestly think that's how it is. I believe it is a random person. Obviously who's played hockey, who has some background in hockey. I don't think it's like 100% complete random. Like they're taking a person who's never thrown on skates before.
Yeah.
Like I think it's random enough to where they like somebody, because like the guy who won a handful of years ago who stepped in and won the game, he used to play like beer league hockey. Like that was his experience. He never played in fucking competitive. Like and going out in the NHL and getting a dub, like hell yeah. You got the boys rallying around you. It's like what a cool moment. But yeah, that's all I had for the NHL stuff. Battles are getting tighter and tighter every day here. So yeah, we'll keep you guys posted on how that comes here as the season's coming to an end.